welcome back to the Dear Global Leader podcast. And today we'll, of course, discuss AI. So, the first part will look and deep dive a bit more into the insights of working with AI at such a big research company. And we'll jump into the second part. So, we want to discuss a bit more the AI and leadership part because you are a leader of a big team, quite a big team. I think 15 people. It's already big, and I actually know that your team has different nationalities. So it's also something that we are overlooking in this podcast because it's all about also the global aspect. So I just wondered, for you, you're non-German. You're working for a German company in Germany, but with a team that not a lot of them are German. So how do you manage this multicultural team? Did you find some setup that works for your specific team?
So my team members, they have similar profiles, similar interests, and they are also, I think, driven by similar values. So they
Mm-hmm.
all chose to work in academia. They are super interested in AI. They
They
develop
share.
code. They have fun doing science. They have fun learning and sharing and understanding, as you were saying. So actually, I see this more like the team has this in common,
Mm-hmm.
um, that basically, I guess we established a culture centered around this value. So
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing this open scientific exchange, as we already discussed, learning from each other. That yeah, I think then we don't really see the multicultural aspects anymore.
Mm.
um, and of course there are differences, and I see them also as leader, like people who are more or less shy about
Mm.
sharing their results. I see also they have a stronger respect for in front of hierarchy, so they would
Mm.
have
The cultural
much more problem
patterns.
contradicting me if I say something, because it if I
Mm.
say something that is wrong or that they disagree. So it's also my role to kind of see that and try to make them comfortable and give them space
Mm.
to say it's okay to contradict, and in particular if you have scientific
Mm.
on scientific basis, for example. But generally, I think if yeah, centering around those values, the exchange, we all have fun doing this work. It's not a big challenge.
And did you had the chance to build your team? Because I don't remember when you said that you arrived in 2020. Were you the one that built a bit this department as the head, or you worked in it and then had the chance to build the team? Is just to understand, did you create it yourself, the culture, or did you inherit it of a team and you try to create then the culture afterwards?
It's a mix. So when I started, there was 3 consultants. So I
Okay,
built
wow.
most of it,
Mm-hmm.
and we built most of it together with the first few consultants, and we started all around the same time. Um, so now we can say that I build the team in a high majority,
Mm-hmm.
and also try to establish this culture through kind of organizing this meeting really. So I'm a big fan of. I really strongly believe in being role models. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about saying go ahead, the exchange between each other, but also just and like
Embodying
enacting
it.
it and
Yes.
embodying it, and so that's what I try to do.
And if you were three at the beginning, it's maybe easy to agree among yourself. Maybe you decide to do that, and then suddenly you're 16, and maybe some people goes and come back, or some new comes in. How did you succeed to keep this culture at scale in such a big team, also with different nationalities? Of course, they share something, but this something is this culture. So how do you make sure to enter someone that fits this culture and to nurture this culture along the way?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, somehow it happened, right? No, but yeah, the scaling up of the team, and it was also a fast scaling up that was
Okay.
a bit of a challenge. So we definitely had to go through from a stage where everybody knows what everybody is working on, and also everybody knows
Mm,
everything that is going on, and kind of
mm,
this small startup core team to more of a small organization where
yeah.
you have to have clearer roles, and
Mm,
also in the projects to define, okay, who is responsible for what and so on. uh, so we did that step by step. I uh, read a bit and also was coached about self-organizing organization. And I inspire myself a lot from it. So really kind of establishing roles, but also discussing with the team what are the roles that
mm,
are important that we can work together. So being very open, have discussion about this, and then decide on certain roles. And then these roles have responsibilities, but also they should have the freedom to, like a lot of freedom on how to implement their roles. So that's what we try to, I mean, we establish in the team. So we define different roles uh, in the teams and also in each of the project,
mm-hmm.
to have this kind of organization where everybody feels responsible and they can bring something to the organization. And every year we have a workshop where we also reevaluate, reassess our organization, the different roles, and also can potentially make changes.
Okay.
And this is how we also stay flexible with the team
Mm,
growing. And it's also actually, I announced to the team recently that we are also going to grow again in 2026. So we
super
will
exciting.
hopefully in January have we will have one of these workshops, and then we will think, okay, what do we want to change? What do we need to change to grow up again? Do we need new roles? Do we need new profiles, and
Mm,
so on?
mm.
Um, so up to now, it worked quite well.
How was it also for you? Because you were working a lot in different academia, and I guess it's the equivalent of in the business like individual contributor role. You know, when you are expert in your field, and then now you're in a leadership role, and also a leader that's has to evolve very fast, such as your field. So I guess how was your, I don't know, your path to become already from an individual contributor to a leader, but keeping your expertise, and now also having on top of your expertise to manage also your leadership, because it's evolving a lot, and as you said, you have to scale up even your leadership very fast.
Indeed, in industry, I mean, I haven't worked a lot in industry. My role would probably be several positions.
Mm,
So that, yeah, my impression is that you indeed have like somebody who would focus on the project management,
yes.
and then some persons would be more of technical leaders or
Mm,
supervisor or more senior. I
mm,
don't know exactly how you would call them. And this would be probably disentangled in industry.
mm-hmm.
These, let's say, two aspects of my role, and maybe also, I don't know, the
The people
person
management.
developer, yeah,
Yeah.
people management and development. So maybe these
Mm,
three aspects, let's say, the
yeah,
project management, the people management, and then the actual scientific technical supervision.
exactly.
um, and in research, usually there is not like in academical research, that there is not really this distinction. That's why for the project management, delegate a lot to the team for the
Mm-hmm.
self-organization. So it's really like there are several roles in the team that are around this, and I do
Mm,
as minimum as possible. I just check from far away that things
mm,
are running, and it's working super well, and I'm super thankful for that. Because what I have the most fun doing is also the science. So I really want to keep the balance
yeah.
between like the management and the scientific supervision. And then also for the scientific supervision, it's also on a project base. So um, I have some expertise, and I am more expert in some fields than
Mm-hmm.
others. And then I also try to hire in my team senior people, more senior researchers that are more expert in maybe the fields where I have less expertise. and
mm,
then also delegate here for part of the projects also a bit the scientific supervision. And then I kind of adjust and I keep an eye on the overall goals and so on, that this is
mm,
going well, but I will not give detailed advice on all of the projects. That's
mm,
also impossible. Uh, so I really try to adjust and also feeling the project, the consultants that are working on them, what do they need from me,
mm.
and try to adjust there.
That's interesting. Maybe you don't know, but you're actually doing situational leadership. It's when you adapt to the person in charge. It's basically if you see the organization as a triangle, you are doing the opposite. So you are delivering what the individual need more than being top down. So it's something that is actually also my best, the one that I love the most. I think you're in the right direction. I know you
Okay,
said
thanks.
that
Maybe I
you.
will read about it then, that
Yes,
I
I
know
can
how
send
it's
you. I
called.
don't know if it's a research paper, but I can find one for your next paper club. You said you are not much. You were not much long into the industry world, so maybe I won't ask you the question. What's the difference between academia and industry? But maybe you can have a reflection on what do you think is the style of management or leadership that exists in academia. Of course, now you are a leader, but maybe in the past you had also a management and leadership. And across your different experience in academia and research company, did you thought of some principle that emerge? Because you just said now that it seems that the culture created itself because people shared value. And then you also said that they are self-organizing. So it seems that we have something that is very different than industry here.
The academic world, there should not be allowed a lot of hierarchy, and basically this should be based purely, let's say, on on
Mm-hmm,
scientific knowledge and merit, and this should be quite fluid. And I think it is true, or partially true. Probably, like, there are games of powers or networking a little bit, but that's maybe only the very higher up, for the very higher up position in academia. If you have, yeah, the capacity to grasp and quickly assess or review the work of others. So it's a lot about, there is kind of this peer review happening all the time. It's
mm,
also happening on papers. It's very formalized for papers, but also the scientific exchange is a lot based on, if you are able to grasp and give feedback or review,
mm,
quickly assess the work of others. On this basis, you can challenge anybody, almost, I would say. So even very senior
mm,
roles. I mean, if you go on this kind of like on this scientific review type of, so that's also what is happening in conferences, through
mm,
questions and discussions that are happening after each of the talks, for example.
mm,
And there, nobody asks, what is your seniority level.
mm,
So in this respect, it's very flat and probably very different than in industry. But then, if you really dare challenging somebody very high up and so on, of course you have to feel very comfortable with that. So that's also, not happening every day.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Actually,
yes,
really
and
like
then
this growth mindset because it's something that in my company we're talking a lot, but even outside a lot, it's like concept of like growth mindset, and I hear a lot of it, but in action is a bit complicated. But I think this is what a bit you are describing is like always ask question rather than thinking that you know, and also always being open to have peer review, so meaning that you are not the only one that knows, but you will exchange knowledge. I think it's one of the basics actually of growth mindset.
yes, and I mean, we were talking about a bit the hierarchical structure and
Mm,
so on. So that's what I wanted to say, is that if you are, let's say, on the scientific basis, and if you really know your stuff, you can challenge basically anybody. So that in this
mm,
respect, there is not much hierarchy. I mean, that's one thing that I observe as a difference, in my opinion, because between academia and industry, um, which has pros and cons, right? It can also be not always comfortable to know that you can be challenged all the time.
Mm,
So some people feel much more secure with a clear hierarchy, and I get instructions from above, and this is
mm.
what I have to do, and that's all. um, so if you're not if that's what you expect as a type of leadership, then do not come to academia, because I think you will not feel comfortable.
Yes. Okay. And it was actually one of my questions because it seems that your hierarchy is driven more by credibility because there is always this, paper and like how many times you have been coded and also this knowledge. So how does it work for someone that comes in? Because okay, you don't have the hierarchy or you don't have any title to save you. So how do you, at least in the corporate world, I'm not someone that push for hierarchy of title at all, but it can be a bit safe for some people and they can sometimes hide behind it. But it's also great for maybe the early generation because at least okay, you have this, you need to become, let's say you have the title of data scientist, at least they have a goal, I need to become this person, have a role model. But then in the academia you said it's not about hierarchy and it's not about title, it's about credibility and knowledge, but maybe early on you don't have that, you haven't published. How do you start actually, because someone needs to give you to believe in you or
Yes, and then to enter the field, to start a PhD, you are not expected to have publications already. So basically, the PhD is really
mm,
the starting point there. This is more like, the interviews would be more based on your skills and what you learned at university, and maybe projects that you
mm,
had at university. And then during that time, you are expected to publish. And then here already the type of publications and where these publications
yeah, which
end up,
paper. Mm,
which is also kind of correlated with what type of impact they will have. So how many citations we expect those
mm,
papers to have. This is a whole game that you have to learn on the go.
mm.
To understand how to have higher impact papers and so on. And I would say the PhD and the time afterwards, if you decide to go on, are very, very critical for that.
Mm.
So either you kind of understand the rules of the game, and
To equivalent
yes,
of
yes.
climbing the ladder, you need to be publishing a lot. I'm derailing a bit of the topic, but because you're using and developing algorithm every day, I wondered. We discussed a bit something that was called expectation management, linked to algorithm, because a lot of us use AI and we are not as knowledgeable than you, and we just ask as we will ask a friend, and then the ChatGPT or whatsoever LLM system is doing something completely different. And if you don't know how the algorithm is built, is of course normal that they are generating something that is not, it's just based on the probability that they thought we were asking about. So I don't know if you can also give us some just groundbreaking rules to better use AI, at our level, maybe not for image, but just how do we use the algorithm? Because there is some stuff, as you were saying in your research, we will not be able to do it.
So I think there are two different ways to approach it. Either you, like us, I mean, you have a good idea what is how these algorithms are built, and they are, and then you can already know before what will work, or what won't work. Um, this is very difficult to explain in 1 minute, I
Maybe I
guess.
can refine the
But yeah.
question. Because sometimes I have a case, for example, in my company, we are trying to test Copilot for business. So some of us has it, and we are trying different software, on Excel, on PowerPoint, on the emails. And some people, even if they are experts, in their field, they are trying something and it doesn't give something that is useful for their expertise, on we are an engineering company, and then they suddenly thinks that AI is dumb, but then there is everything about engineering of prompt. You know, everything
Mhm.
about maybe giving certain rule and certain condition in order that it works out. And it was a bit parallel to what you have, because you have a very technical and experienced person that comes to you, and then they need to relearn that there is some parameter to use this tool. So it's maybe a general question. You can just use an applied case, maybe ChatGPT, because a lot of us use it. But what are certain parameters that we can use in order that the answer we'll get will be that most likely will be the one we were looking for?
Yeah, so two things maybe I think that can be important. So they are language models. So that's
Mm,
very important to have expectations and understand that ChatGPT is something that in essence is just trained to predict the next word in a sentence. Which means that, expecting the ChatGPT to understand the world. And for example, you have all these tricks that you can play on ChatGPT and give it an image and like with a cat that is, in the air and a cat that is sitting on something, and you give it an image and you ask which cat should fall down, and ChatGPT has
mm,
no idea actually. This is not surprising to anybody like that knows what is behind, because it's really a language model. So it's just learned to predict the next word, how likely the
mm,
word is. So if you keep this in mind, you should not expect like ChatGPT to solve complicated riddles and things like that, where you need to build in your head a representation and really use logic and
mm.
so on. It's not good for that, but it's really good for this kind of summarization
Repetitive task.
of repetitive task summarization, rewriting, like drafting an email, but you don't finish your sentences or whatever, and it can
Mm,
redraft it for you, expand also, change the format, like you have uh, something written with certain how do you say, um, certain paragraphs and so on, and you want to change the format, you want to extend.
okay.
This is something that you can really expect it to be good. Also, I use it a lot when I'm also just writing in English, because I'm looking for words and I know that,
Mm,
this is not the exact right word, but like ChatGPT will be the way
mm,
it has this representation of language. I know
okay.
that it will spit out a very good word that I'm looking for, and things like
Mm,
that. Um, so knowing this is important, I think. And the other thing, cannot expect real creativity from it. So it's really like it's something that is really good at, um, repeating things that it has seen a lot in the training
mm,
data. So basically by like, things that
mm,
you see on the internet. So that's why it has very general opinions and
mm,
ideas on things, and you cannot expect it to be very creative. So if you're asking for new ideas or so, yes. And then what you can also do is kind of tune your system prompt. So like kind of
yeah.
really, if you want to describe, so here there's also a lot of check what happens with your personal data. But if you have proper data protection, you can really describe a lot what is your role in the
Mm,
company, what you kind of expect, what is your workflow, what is the type of the way you want
mm,
ChatGPT to interact with you, like, be blunt and brutal and don't pack
mm,
things around, because that's a very American way of writing
yeah.
things, right? If you ask it to be critical, it will be, it's a super
Mm,
nice
yeah, yeah, yeah.
thing that
I'm
you
always
wrote, and it's
amazing to ChatGPT.
yeah. And if you want to get rid of that, you can also tune it to your wishes by describing a lot what is your role in the company, what is your
Mm.
um, yeah, things that you expect from it, and maybe that will also help the experience.
Last question before the last question of the episode. You mentioned data protection, and usually we, you know, in my company, for example, I never use ChatGPT, and we have a special AI tool. I just wondered if we remove the company purposes, but just if you use AI, you know, to ask, you know, some people they ask even personal question, you know, should I break up with my boyfriend or this type of things. Some people use it really as they personal confident. when you talk about data protection, is there also an ethic challenge here or a way to not give away personal information? Because there is an anonymous mode, when you don't connect, when you not log in. Does it mean that they will understand it's not my data if I use ChatGPT without my subscription, or my subscription protect my data somehow?
It's really like a legal question.
Mm,
I only use them with like the tools with subscription, and
mm,
in our at Helmholtz also the legal department looked into it, and we don't get any subscription. So I only use tools where that have been approved by my company, and
yeah.
I trust them in checking that. And yeah, typically if you pay, you have hopes that this will also stay on European servers and so on.
Mm.
But I trust my company for that. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, but totally. I'm also having subscription, and I'm unsure about that. Maybe someone can put it in the comment. Okay, but we arrive at the end of the podcast. So usually I have three last questions. It doesn't need to be very developed, but you have already started your career for a long time, and I wondered if there were skills that you acquired at the beginning of your journey and that you are still using.
What I learned right from the beginning during my PhD is also how to do research and what it means to do research. So this is really,
Mm, it's at
and
the core.
this is not something that you get by birth. You have to learn also.
Yeah, yeah. And leadership will not help you with these skills. It's really the core of what you do. One that will be tricky a bit, but I like to still ask it. There will be different type of people that will listen to this podcast, but there will be more the emerging leaders, rising or aspiring leaders, and maybe the global leader. And I wonder if you have like an advice. It doesn't need to be, or even something you like to keep in your mind for yourself as a tips.
Yes, and I mean in terms of leaderships, I have a very practical and approach to leadership. So I don't have kind of a concept or framework
Mm,
that I put into place. But I like actually kind of the type of interaction that we had. So when we started discussing in my team, for example, roles and so on,
mm.
then at some point, somebody came and said, "Yeah, what you are doing is close to self-organized organizations."
I agree. I
And I was
completely
like,
agree.
oh, that's interesting. And then I start to look into that, and then I reinforce, because this is like, so I didn't read 20 10, 20 books and decided I'm going to use this
Yeah,
theory, but it was more like somebody came and say, hey, what you're doing is close to that. And then I
yeah.
still nurtured my way of leading the team and so on through this specific reading. And no, I that you told me about situational leadership, I will read about
Yeah.
it, and will probably feed even more the way I'm leading the team. But I'm not exactly. But it's not like I read 10 different theories and decided, okay, this is the one I'm going to
Mm.
use. It's more the other way
It's
around.
always test and try, and depends also on the team. The last question, actually, you're talking about books, and you mentioned that you were coached. So I don't know if they also tell you about books, but I'm an avid reader, so maybe you have like a book recommendation for me, and maybe for the rest of the listener. Actually, I have one for you then, because on self-organizational, there is a great book that is called Humanocracy. I could send you the link, and the title is something creating organization as amazing as the people working in them or something. And it's all about a bit this. It's completely outside the normal organizational framework. But when you have engaged team, how do you reorganize that? I think it would be a good one for you. I mentioned that because I someone mentioned it to me. I already read it, but I got an art copy of it few weeks ago, and I will reread it. So yeah.
One of the books that were quite enlightening to me, so related to, for example, self-organized organizations, as we discussed, was Reinventing Organizations from
Mm,
Frédéric Laloux. It's the only book I read on the topic, to be honest, but it was really enlightening for me. Um, but also more generally, one books that I really also was a big revelation for me, was Jared Diamond's book, The Third Chimpanzee. And he also has, I think, two other books that are coming afterwards. One is called Inegalities, about on the inequalities of societies or something like that.
Okay.
And I read actually the three of them. And in these books, he explains the origins of human societies and their differences and their inequalities in a very scientific way and also very
Okay.
accessible, and relates a lot of things to basically the onset of agriculture and what were the differences in the different um, environment, let's say. And yeah, for me also, it was very interesting. He also explains a lot about, the different scales. So when 5 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, millions of people come together, how the organizations of societies changed.
Okay.
And yeah, so in the end, it also was very enlightening for me about the current global situation. I mean, between like South and North and things like that, and also about different culture, how they relate to each other, and where multi like differences, cultural differences can come from.
Okay, but
And I
then
think it
this
also
go.
influences a bit my leadership style,
Yeah,
for
I'm
instance.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm thinking I need to think of this book. Is it a sequel? Because it seems very on point for the topics I like. Is it like there is a sequel, they are all going one after the other? There is some sort of like
There's three
history or they are
books. Yes.
okay, it's just a
Yeah,
series.
yes, there are three books. They go, yeah, thematically. I don't remember exactly how
Mm.
which part is in each of the book, but yeah, definitely a reading that I would recommend.
Super, but it was fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Marie. So it will be the end of the podcast. So as always, if you like the podcast, put some good rating and some comments, and we'll see each other in the next video. Thanks.